All right. You want to record just a...
Wait. Hold on. David.
Oh, I can hear your voice. You're in Gaytriarch's voice now. I can hear it.
And this is Gaytriarchs. Okay, David, I don't even know how to start this topic except to say that you posted something on Instagram last night that I accidentally saw in my 4 seconds of scrolling, let's be honest, that wasn't you popped up in my feed of abs and hot, gorgeous, beautiful.
I broke through somehow.
Accomplished, successful winners. David, tell us how you are a fucking winner today.
Yeah, I'm a winner, baby. Last night was the Emmy Awards, and shocking to everyone, including myself, I won.
Wow.
David, won an Emmy Award.
We are an Emmy Award-winning podcast now, thanks to you. So thank you for making that sacrifice for us.
I do love how you've made my Emmy for the show I wrote about you and Gaytriarchs. That was really excellent work there.
It's a special skill.
Yeah, it was a crazy night. I all the cliches, right? I really didn't think I would win. A friend of mine was hosting, which I had no idea, and I texted him. I was like, "Oh my God, you're hosting!" And it was really fun to, he said he screamed backstage when I won. It was a great night. It was, when you are the star, when you're the ooh, there's the Emmy. Everyone treats you nicer, and it feels wonderful, and also a little icky. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm nobody. But also, I will take it. Like the Kojak guy looks at you with stars in his eyes, and you're like, no. Trust me, I'm not one to be adored.
Wait. So back up just real quick. First of all, the Emmys actually take place in September, right? So this is not that these are the actual Emmys, but this was the Family and Children's Emmy Awards, correct?
Correct. There's like Emmy Awards we think of as the primetime Emmys, but there are actually four categories of Emmy. There's the primetime Emmys, there's the daytime Emmys, there is the children and family Emmys, and I believe there's the sports
X-rated?
Emmys. Well, yeah, okay. That would be actually kind of awesome. So they're different. They're all Emmys, but they're separated into these different categories. So this was the children and family Emmy Awards, and this year, for the first year, it was held in New York, so it was very convenient for me. It was at the Jazz at Lincoln Center.
You didn't.
No. I just tied them to the tree out front. Mm-hmm. But it was so it was here. It was really great, and but yeah, it was it streamed, like it wasn't on like ABC, like you were streaming it from the website
for sure.
But it was. And
did you have a big old gay kiss when your name was called and the TV cameras were on you?
TV cameras, yeah, right. There was like a guy with his Samsung Android like live streaming it to Facebook. That's the level or whatever. But no, I mean it was wild because we legitimately were like, oh yeah, Miss Rachel's gonna win, and then I wasn't nervous. I was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm just excited to be nominated. When they said our thing, we all looked at each other and we kept saying, luckily there is no cameras, oh my fucking God, are they fucking kidding me? Are they fucking kidding me? We're like running down the aisle. Are they fucking kidding me? And, but it was really great. It was lovely. The star of the show that I write for, Tabitha Brown, she won for best host or whatever. So it was a really cool night for the show and for me. And then I had to buy with my own credit card my own fucking statue.
But you sure did.
For $743.46. That includes the $40 FedEx shipping fee. I'm saying those numbers out loud because I want to be transparent with you that this is not glamorous. I'm still mostly unemployed. The show doesn't have a 4th season scheduled, and this is my life. But I won an Emmy Award, and I'm very excited.
So were you just given a plastic prop to carry around for your pictures, or...
So my category, there was 5 of us that won this award, and they have one ready to go that you can, hold or whatever. And then the others are kind of like ordered and shipped because they have to like engrave it and everything.
Oh,
so yeah. So anyway, yes.
That was who went home? Who went home with the one that you were holding last night?
Our showrunner, and he's the head writer, he's the showrunner, he's the one who did the speech. Like it is his, of course. But we all are also nominated and we get the awards. We just have to fucking swipe our credit card for it.
I was going to say, and now admittedly, he's the one who makes the most money and gets the most glamour from this, but he's the one who will not have to buy his own Emmy.
Correct.
Apparently.
He gets the free one. Yeah. This is how the rich get richer, Gavin. Is they win their Emmys, and so now the most important part of this. This has nothing to do with parenting. Sorry, welcome
No.
to the podcast.
Well, wait. One more question. So then what does it feel like to be an Emmy winner when you come home and then you're like, oh God, we got to dole out $250 to the babysitter, and we're still just going to eat cereal in our sweats and maybe watch some TV, but just fall asleep? Or was it glamorous like they would make the movies out?
Luckily it was kind of both. I expected all to be just like, shitty behavior from the kids. But the first thing my daughter did say this morning when she hadn't seen me, since yesterday was, your breath stinks. So I was like, okay, cool. But then my son was very sweet. He goes, did you win it? He's so obsessed with trophies right now. He's like, did you win a trophy? I said, I did. And his like face lit up. He was like, wait, you really win a trophy? And I showed him the picture of me with the Emmy. And he was just like, oh my God, you get to have that? You won? They clapped for you? Like, he was so very excited. They were very sweet. But then they also complained that I didn't give them Lucky Charms for breakfast because I said it had too much sugar, and then I was the worst dad ever. So, it's the highs and lows.
They'll appreciate you when, after you're dead and gone, that they get to just auction your Emmy off on eBay and hopefully get some beer money to take a vacation celebrating dancing on your grave. So
I swear to God, if my children break my $743 Emmy, I'm going to sell them to the circus. But anyway, it was wonderful. Thank you for being kind and bringing it up.
It's so exciting.
It is actually very exciting. I have yet to even do an Instagram post about it, but I'm very excited. But I wanted to bring it back to classic Gaytriarchs because my son is very obsessed with kind of ethnicity and nationality and genetic lines, and he's just like really like, are we Scottish? Are we that? He's very, very kind of into this world, right? And so we have real data on this. I've done my 23andMe, and
you've given away all your data to those institutions,
I'll give,
right?
Gavin, I'll give anything away to anybody.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? If somebody like says I'm kind of cute, I'm like, you can have anything you want.
Anything.
So he was like, are we Black? And I said, no, we're not. He goes, well, are we from Africa? I said, no. I said, we're this and this and this. He goes, okay, but we're like, are we a little bit? And I said, no, honey, we are this and this and this. And he kept pushing and pushing. And then I was like, well, I guess everyone kind of traces back to Africa. There's that, 0.01% that always pops up at the bottom of your thing. This was the wrong thing to say because he now tells people that he's part Black. And I don't know how to put this tiger back in the cage because now he's like, well, so we're part Black. You said we're part Black. I said, no. We're a little bit, there's a 0.01% from Africa, but everyone has. So now I've got a 6-year-old at school telling people that he's part Black. My white, blonde-haired child. So what do I do? What would you do, David? I don't even know what to do.
I am laughing at you, not with you. And with you. What? That is awesome. That's my only reaction to that. I have no segue or anything.
Okay, great.
My son has been schooling me I guess that's not a segue, but he's been schooling me of late. He has finally woken up to the fact that, listen, I love both my children equally. No, I don't. I mean, yes, I do. I love my children equally. They're both phenomenal. Mm-hmm. They're both phenomenal. And they are very different. And they have their different challenges, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know where this is going. Anyway, my daughter is a lot of fabulosity and frivolity and energy and noise and attitude and all the things. And I am proud of the way that she asserts herself and all the things. And sometimes there might be something called parental abuse in the way she speaks to us, frankly. Mm-hmm. Well, my son in the last couple of days has latched onto this, and he said, you cannot let her talk to you that way. My partner and I are like, oh, geez, are we setting a bad example? Are we being abused, or is he's just hit his limit with hearing her turn lots of things into battles, which, by the way, dear Lord, if you're out there listening to this, Ellison, I love you. And this is age appropriate. I don't think there's actually anything inappropriate about it, but you could tone it down a little bit. But it's hilarious to me that my son is saying, you should not be taking this from her. What are the consequences? What are you going to do about it? This morning, I think last week it was when I was talking about her phone usage in the morning, which I kind of talk about choosing battles. And we are shockingly not late to school. So I haven't had to do things like you don't get to walk around with your phone to the bathroom, stubbing your toe on the door and blaming me for it, right? But for instance, she was clearly lollygagging this morning, and I just simply kindly gave a reminder, hey, everybody, it's 7:06. Usually we walk out the door at 7:05. The way she screamed at me, okay, you don't have to tell me again. And then my son calmly telling me, are you going to take that?
You're kind of being, your feet are kind of put to the fire, right? Like she's 100%. Kind of like, you got to make a decision here. And now the spotlight's on you.
Are you bullshit, Dad, or not? And apparently I'm bullshit. Nothing more than that.
Does it feel like you have a wingman, like that? You have now the winds are at your back a little bit with like dealing with her.
My reactionary self was almost gonna say, yeah, did you hear what he said? You shouldn't talk to me that way. And I realized, well, that would be childish and stupid. Also, I don't know. I
leveraging your 12-year-old to
which I have been very, very careful about not comparing them because they're very, very different kids. Yeah. And I've been very careful about that. But the last thing, but she still says, I know he's your favorite because I know he does everything so perfectly, which is just so classic. And I swear I've never actually said anything like that because it's not true. She's just different, Anyway,
different in a worse way. Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. Well, you know what also is crazy is that we have somehow extended this Babies 101 thing into 2 episodes. Yeah. When we decided to do this, it was because our listener was like, hey, I'm having a baby. And, can you talk about some of the things that you wish you had bought, did? And I was like, and Gavin mentioned, we haven't really talked about babies in a while. We should go back to that because we all of us who are parents or going to be parents are going to deal with babies at some point. So we divided into 3 sections. Last week, we talked about what you do before you have a baby and the things you buy and maybe you shouldn't buy. And then we also talked about when baby is here and you're in the hospital and it's those first 1 to 2 days. And what do you do while you're in the hospital? And the TLDR was steal as much stuff as possible. And now we're here. And this is a part I'm very excited about. And it's a longer thing to talk about, which is now you're home. You just arrived. You have your new little 3-day-old baby. You sit down in your house. And now what? Now, what happens during those first 3 months? What should you have? What should you not have? What lessons have we learned as parents of 2 babies during this time? Because I would say those first 3 months are the most intense and the most consequential for us as parents. And so it's good, I think, for us to talk about like what worked, what didn't when it comes to those first 3 months. So my first question to you, Gavin, is like, do you remember the feeling of having your daughter in the little bassinet and arriving home for the first time?
When you take that baby home in the beautiful little stork delivered bassinet, you are filled with so much awe and astoundedness of, oh my God, let's do this. But we already discussed that last week. But there is that sense of expectation. And then very quickly, I think the sense of like, well, now what do we do? I mean, and my overall feeling, I've written down, shockingly, I've written down several thoughts about those first 3 months. But the first thing, for better or for worse, the very first thing I wrote at the top is, it's so boring. It is so incredibly often boring because the kid is a houseplant. I mean, that idea that there's a 4th trimester or a 4th quadrester, that the baby really should still be in utero. Yeah. It is not functioning yet in a sense that, oh, it's so cute to have a baby. I mean, undoubtedly, there's 100 times during the day that are fleeting seconds that you think, oh, this is the cutest thing I've ever been with, had, done.
Which is, by the way, your body lying to you, because we've all felt that. And if you go back and look at those pictures, those infants are monsters. They're ugly, wrinkly goblins. Yeah, they are ugly and gross. True. They are not cute, but your body is saying, don't kill this. Don't throw this to the wolves. Yeah. It's cute.
Yes. But I feel like those months are so trying and so fatiguing, and you get no feedback. And so my overall feeling of that entire period is you've got to give yourself plenty of permission to not feel love and gratitude, because you might actually have that time thinking, I don't feel the way about this baby that I thought I was going to. It isn't peaches and cream. You might think, what have I done? You might have actual regrets. You might feel like, I do not love this baby, but you push through and you keep it fed and clothed and warm and sleeping, and you will get this. It gets better. It really does. But it is a really, really tough time. But then,
wait, can I just jump in real quick with what you're saying with the boredom thing? I think that's an interesting point. I think another reason that it feels boring is pointing to what I think is the hardest part about parenting that you don't experience until this exact moment, which is it's the first time you realize what taking care of something 24 hours a day, 7 days a week feels like, because it's not like when you get home and you have the house plan that, excuse me, that you lay it on the couch and you go about your day and you go upstairs and you take a call and you whatever. You are constantly near or on this child, making sure it's okay. But the majority of the time, as you said, they're not doing anything. So you're just staring at the ceiling going, what are we? And then you realize this is day after day after day. And then I think, like you said, those feelings of like, I love him, but I'm not feeling swoony, magical Instagram picture.
Would I jump in front of a bus for it?
I remember not feeling that and feeling really scared that I made, because I pushed to have kids. My son, my husband was, I think, open to having kids, but if I had said definitely not, I think he would have been like, okay, that's like not a big deal. But I was like, I wanted. And I remember thinking, I'm the one who pushed for this.
Yep.
And I'm not feeling swoony. I will protect this. I love this. I want to do this. But it's just this thing. And it took a long time for me to really start to develop those, like, I would jump in front of a bus things. And now sometimes, my kids will scream and I'll be like, maybe I'll throw you in front of the bus.
In front of the bus. Yeah, exactly.
But that's what I want to point to the boredom is, like, I don't think you've experienced 24 hours a day yet until this moment.
Where you're also hyper vigilant, absolutely standing over the kid, metaphorically, if nothing else, the entire time, waiting for something to happen, or you just don't realize how incredibly you're just kind of sitting there, and it is, and it's so demanding, and you're so tired, and you so don't know what to do, and why is the kid crying for this reason or that reason? So it's boredom on top of frustration with teeny tiny occasional punctuations of excitement and cuteness and love, frankly. So it is, but that boredom, I remember a friend of mine, a couple of years later, had her own baby, and she was the one who finally just said to me, I can't believe how boring this is. And I hadn't really thought, I hadn't given myself permission to embrace that idea that it is just sensationally boring, which is all the more reason. One of the things that I wrote down was, this is a time to go for lots and lots and lots and lots of walks. And somebody else told me that before I had kids, like, just go for a walk. It's a good thing. I'm like, that sounds really boring. But this is the time in your life that you actually can strap that baby in a baby Bjorn or in a stroller, and just walk and indulge in it, because you aren't chasing them. You're just keeping them out there stimulated. And if they're crying, and you are out in public. So you feel an obligation to be good to the baby and let it cry outside. It's less loud. And, but as you always say, your philosophy of change of temperature, water, what is it to
add air or water?
Add air or water. Being outside adds air. Natural stimulation. You can walk around, frankly, looking at your phone and be fine, and sipping coffee, but just like lots and lots of walks are critical at this time.
I will also say that first month there is, and goes to my diatribe. I tell everybody that month 2 is the hardest for me. Month 2 and month 3 is because that month 1 looks the same as month 2. But what to me propels you through month 1 is the newness and the excitement of everything. Some of the newness is scary, right? Where you put your baby down, you suddenly look at the TV and be like, that TV could fall over. You start seeing the house differently. But there's also the newness of, like, all of your friends and family are going to come over. They're going to be like, oh my God, let me see the baby. And there's like all this excitement, and there's visitors in and out, and there's gifts, and there's like you learning how to be a dad. And there's this newness excitement that what it's covering, and you don't know yet until month 2 or 3, is the exhaustion of being up all night and being being kind of at this constant level of nervousness. And so that first month, this is a positive note for the baby havers, is like, enjoy it. It's fun to have a baby in the beginning, even though it's kind of scary. It's fun to show it off and to have friends and family come out and tell you how cute the baby is and take pictures with it. And so enjoy those first couple of weeks, because I think that was those are a lot of positive memories for me. And I wasn't tired. I was like, I can do this. I am, yes, I'm up, 6 times a night, and I'm learning this as we go, but it's exciting. And the walking, I mean, that was a huge thing for me for the first 6 months, because I was the primary caretaker when my husband went back to work. Is like, I would walk, it was like a 40-minute walk to the Panera, and then I would get like a lemonade, and then I would walk back. Like I was like, I just need to be outside or whatever. And it was lovely.
Yeah. That reminds me of a friend of mine who years ago said, I mean, what did I do today with her newborn? What did I do today? I went to Target. I bought stuff with the intent of things that I didn't need, so that I would have to go back the next day and return it, because I just needed something to do. And give yourself a point to your existence at some point, because you are absolutely chained to a new wonderful being that eventually you're going to love more than anything. And then furthermore, you talked about having visitors and being showered with baby stuff. I feel like it's critical. Maybe this is the advice for the people who are visiting their friends with babies or learning about things going forward. You need to be able to say to people, let me take the baby and you go out. Because standing over and cooing, I mean, we as new parents, you need a break, but it's still fun to be able to experience the baby through new eyes. But you know what you need as a new parent also? You need a break. And so when people come over and visit the baby, they're going to be fine. They are going to, you go out for 45 minutes, there's nothing bad that's going to happen to the baby. They can just leave. They can sit with the baby on the floor and let it cry if they need to. There's not going to be anything critical. But do your newborn parent friends a solid and send them out the door with a Starbucks card for $12 and just say, come back in 45 minutes or an hour, go take some time for yourself, or go take a nap. But
yeah, I mean, I agree. And so I want to ask you a question, because I think this will be helpful to our listener, whether it be because they are going to have a baby or because they're going to visit somebody else's baby. What do you think is a very helpful or meaningful or useful gift? Because everyone who goes to visit a baby wants to bring something, right? They want to bring, I want to bring diapers, I want to bring a blanket, I want to bring a toy or whatever, right? What do you think, as a parent who's gone through this twice, as have I, was really helpful or meaningful, or what would you suggest people buy?
Wine and Starbucks cards.
I love it. It's just a total solid. For me, it was my friend Morgan and Trey, who had their baby on my birthday. So we share a birthday now, which is adorable. They came over, and she had pre-made a lasagna and put it in like tinfoil and wrote in black marker on the tinfoil, $3.50 for 11 minutes or whatever, and just walked in and put it right in my fridge.
That's great.
And it was just so wonderful. That or maybe a Grubhub gift card, because you don't need to eat the first couple of days. You're so excited. I'll just grab whatever. And then for a while, you're like, oh, we don't have dinner. Do you have dinner? And then just to be like, oh, we can just pop in Morgan's lasagna. That was really meaningful to me.
That's great.
That's a great idea.
Functional things to help your life. The baby doesn't need anything. As we know, you've already done it all. And so, that's that
was going to be my next question for you, is like, what are things that new parents should have for their baby? We talked prior about like, oh, you only need this and this and this. Now that the baby's home, do you need to add anything to that, do you think, or still stick with the diapers, food, a blanket, a place to sleep?
I mean, honestly, it's that. I would say that I don't see any new needs for those 3 months that you would need, except that the baby does grow quickly. You'll be shocked. But even then, you don't need a new wardrobe during that time. So no, I would stick with it. Honestly.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think literally the exact same thing. The only other thing that we had that was really helpful is because I'm cheap and we just spent $65,000 on this baby. I went to Costco and I bought all of these car detailing cloths. They were like these square yellow cloths, and it came in a pack, I think, of 50. And I had piles of them in every room because that baby is spitting up and shitting and doing all kinds of stuff. And it was the first time I was like, oh, I need lots of things to wipe things up with and to throw in. And I literally put piles in every room, and it was so fucking helpful.
Hey,
but that I think is it as far as stuff that you need to take care of your baby is concerned. You will also get 1,000 books and 1,000 chew toys and 1,000 baby related gifts from the people who come into your house, which will not be useful. But if you're worried that you're not going to have enough stuff for the baby to touch, they're not going to want to, they don't play with stuff for like 3 to 6 months. They're just laying there. And it's hard to imagine because we all think of babies as these like, oh, I'm cooing and I'm batting at the mobile in front of me. They're literally remember when in Men in Black and they open up the face and you see like the little alien that's been operating the face inside who's like just about to pass away. They look like that. They're these like wrinkly, alieny, gross fucking things that their legs don't even bend all the way.
They can't even.
They can't. They can't even kick their leg all the way out. You remember that? Like the little chicken legs that won't unfold?
Yep.
Oh my God.
The other thing that I had written down and was so fascinated by, and in all of the prep that I did, maybe I just filtered this out, or maybe I just didn't do enough prep. Let's face it, I didn't do any prep. It's like me and our top 3 list. But I didn't know about grandmother hour, or whatever you want to call it, witching hour, where it was that my dear friend who, Laura, probably not a listener, who went to Target to buy stuff to just return it the next day, but she was a doctor. And she, about 4 weeks, 6 weeks in, she said, so is your kid starting to get, grouchy towards the end of the day? And she explained the whole concept to me, that's the witching hour, but it is often known as grandmother hour. And it's when we all lived in tribes, in big extended families. And it was the end of the day when the baby is tired of dad's energy and the dad is tired of baby energy. And basically that was the time in tribal lands where grandma came over, took the baby off the hands and just bounced the baby for the next hour and a half to help soothe it, because the baby is inconsolably and inexplicably upset. And there is nothing you can do except let that baby just stretch its lungs and its arms and its little unfolded legs and just get through it. But that is the time that is so sensationally frustrating. And you understand why, parents lose their shit. It is particularly in that time around happy hour, frankly, 4 to 6 p.m., when you're just at your wit's end and the baby is certainly at its wit's end. You aren't alone, and this is a real thing, and that's when grandma needs to come over and take the baby off your hands.
Yeah, that witching hour is so real, and it becomes it is why I started seeing the day in halves. And I remember thinking, like, if I could just get through this half, I only have one half to go. But that second half was always the hardest. And so when we would schedule things where we needed a babysitter, I always scheduled it from 4 to 6 p.m. because I was like, that is the hardest time of day when you're at your wit's end. That is so true. Okay, I want to talk about bottles a little bit, because I feel like we won the gold medal at the Olympics as far as like getting our baby to eat and what we did and everything. And so I want to, like, it's not a dad hack. It's just like what my advice would be for bottles. And I think yours is different, but I think it's good to say these things out loud. So I think I said in the previous episode, when you start feeding your baby from the first feeding, which is usually the first within the first half hour of the baby being born, you're like, hey, you want to feed the baby? I was told, give it to them cold. Give it to them fresh out of the bottle, or literally fresh from the fridge. And so we decided we were going to do that. And we did it in now it wasn't cold in the hospital, but it was room temp. And we told them, we said, don't warm this up. We want it to be room temp. And then when we got home, the second we were home and we started making bottles, we would keep them in the fridge. And then when it was time to feed, we would feed it to them right out of the fridge, freezing cold. Because somebody told us, once they're used to these bottles not being warm in the perfect temperature, your life has been inexplicably made easier, and they don't know the difference. And so what we did was we did that, and we had our bedrooms were upstairs from the kitchen. And so what we did was every night before baby went to quote unquote bed, which is laughable because they're going to wake up in 2 hours. But we made all the bottles for the night. We put them in like a styrofoam cooler that we filled with ice. And then we brought it upstairs and put it in their room. So what happened was in the middle of the night when you hear the baby crying and you're like, oh my God, we've made a huge mistake. I have to get up again. You wander in that room, you grab that bottle and you just stick it right in their mouth and they don't care. So that made my life easier because I think a lot of people will either use a baby Breeza or they will try to warm it up. And then that's just an extra 5-10 minutes of time that you're not sleeping. And they're crying.
Yes, but also letting your kid get used to the idea that the formula or whatever it is that you're feeding to them can come in different temperatures, and that's okay. There was a time, I'm sure I've talked about this, I remember so vividly the time that I whipped out, it was when we had breast milk donated, and I had whipped out a baggie of breast milk, and we would put it in I believe what we did was put it in a glass of water to warm it up overnight. And so it would very slowly defrost. Sometimes we probably did put it in the microwave. Don't at me in case that was not what I was supposed to do. I prematurely put the milk into the bottle and I looked down at my daughter as I was feeding her. She definitely did a reaction like, whoa, that's cold, but kept drinking. And there was ice floating in her milk, but she still drank that entire thing down and she was fine. And now she yells at me every single day. And I am.
And that's why. Because of that ice floating in her breast milk. That is why you ruined that. All right. So I have mentioned this a lot and I've alluded to it quite a bit, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the bad parts. But I do think it's important to bring up for me and my life, that month 2 into month 3 was the darkest part of my parenting journey so far. And I want to just tell you that ahead of time. So if you feel the same way, that you're not alone, that we're all feeling this way. And I think I want to talk about the practical reasons why I think it is. I think the newness has waned for you as a new parent. You kind of get it now. You know how it works. People aren't coming over anymore. They've all visited. They're all back to their new lives. Yes, you'll still get visitors. You'll still, maybe if you have family nearby, come by. But really the kind of excitement of the in and out has waned. And now it's just you. Maybe one of you's gone back to work now. And this is the part where I was at my wit's end. I was so fucking tired. I couldn't see straight. And we were too early to do sleep training. We did sleep training at the 3-month mark, which maybe we'll talk about in another episode because it was life-changing for me. But we couldn't do sleep training yet. So I felt like a fucking monster. And I just felt so dark. And I was like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. If you do this and you feel this way, you are not alone. It will get better, but it's hard. And I have no advice for you other than the only thing that gave me any sort of peace was my husband and I figured out midway through the process, instead of going back and forth, like it's your turn to get up, it's my turn to get up, it's my whatever, we split the night in half. And that saved our lives. And so we would choose a time, I think it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. And that was our dividing point. And we'd say, okay, my husband, Brian, you take the first half of the night. I'm going to go to sleep. So when the baby went down at 7, I went down at 7. And I knew I would have uninterrupted sleep until 1 a.m. And then once 1 a.m. came around, now it was my turn to get up every time the baby cried. And he got an uninterrupted block of sleep. That saved us because then we could at least know that we could sleep solidly in those times. And so that's my only hack at that point. And I just want to bring it up because I didn't really hear that before. And I felt very kind of alone. Like, why is this so hard for me? And everyone seemingly is like, babies. And it wasn't. And some people have told me, they're like, babies wasn't hard for me, but man, toddlerhood is hard. To me, toddlerhood was not that hard. But so, and maybe everyone's different, but that was my experience. Is that similar to yours?
Yes. I mean, of course, it's all ancient history now, but I don't remember necessarily a 2 to 3 month divider line. I just remember it just all being really hard. And knowing that when we did hit that 3-month mark, everything changed. It just both kids lit up. They suddenly had personalities. They were smiling at us. The witching hour basically went away and everything changed. But before that time, especially with the first kid, I didn't know I could give myself permission to just give grace and ask for help because it is tough. And you think this has never happened to you, that you're doing something really, really wrong. But no, you're not doing anything wrong. This is how it goes. And it is tough. So ask for help and give yourself grace.
So all of that to be said, I hope none of that was helpful, and I wish you the best of luck. But
Good luck.
I know. But I do think that some of that information was helpful. And if none of it was helpful, the one thing I want you to take away with it is that you're not alone, even though you will feel miserably alone.
Mm-hmm. I think that's as good as it gets. Yep. I mean, that's why we started a podcast, because we felt miserably alone. So, well, you know what? Normally we would move on to say a dad hack of the week, or we've been trying to do that consistently, but you just told us your dad hack.
We just hacked the shit out of you.
We hacked the shit out of it. So let's move on to our news of the week. As you know, there is no good news in the world right now. And usually I skip over all of the negativity, but I am going to personally call out Pete Hegseth this week, who infuriated me last week by saying they're not going to give any money. The Department of War is not going to give any funding like they have for the last 6 millennia to the Scouts. And I know that we haven't talked about this a whole lot, but I'm actually quite involved with scouting with my son. And I know that might seem like a topic in itself, but I think it's been really great, especially in a world of screens where my son runs around in the woods with friends all the time and like learns how to survive a zombie apocalypse. And basically, Hegseth said, we're not going to give you the money unless you do away with your DEI and gender nonconforming support. And that just pisses me the fuck off. And normally I just skip over things like that, but I'm calling it out because it really pisses me off. But you know what? I dug a little deeper beyond my bitterness, and I do have some good news of the week. Imagine this. It's a windy, blustery day in Chicago, which is probably just par for the course, right? In Chicago, especially in February. And a woman lost control of her stroller. Now, she was on one of the piers in Chicago. The wind took the kid away. She was screaming, and a trans man was sitting at the bench on the beach below and saw the stroller fly into the water. This man, despite not being able to swim, jumped into the frigid Lake Michigan to keep the baby above the water, and did so successfully. And you know what? Obviously, this person's gender identity has nothing to do with the fact that it's just goodness that would obviously, hopefully motivate people, good people other than us, to save babies in frigid waters. But what a great story of just a good person doing the right thing. So,
but also it means that if you are anti-trans, you are pro-drowning babies. That's what I think that is the point of that story. But what is the point of this podcast? I don't know.
Often to talk about DILFs. And we have quite possibly the best DILF of the week. Do you want to tell listener what our DILF of the week is?
Well, we promised you last week, because last week we had realtor Caitlin on, who gave his due obsession. He's already building a shrine in his house to her. But she submitted her own husband as a nominee to be DILF of the week. And we said, you know what? Show us the money. So she during the interview showed us on her phone shirtless photos of her husband, and we said an immediate yes. You may pass go. You will collect $200. Yes. And so this week, our DILF of the week is Caitlin's husband, Brian. And Brian, you are our DILF of the week, not only because you're Caitlin's husband, but because you are hot. Yeah. You know what is not hot and very disappointing?
Tell me.
Our top 3 list.
Gaytriarchs top 3 list. 3, 2, 1.
So this week it is the top 3 babies.
Yep.
Plain and simple. Top 3 babies.
Yep.
Number 3 for me, the Ally McBeal hologram baby. You remember that baby?
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's the creepiest, most disgusting thing, but that is what pops into mind when I think of the top 3 babies. Number 2, the other baby on an airplane. I really don't mind being on a plane with babies, but my point is, when I see somebody else with a baby, that is my favorite baby. And I am partly it's my favorite baby because I don't have to deal with it on the plane. So basically anybody else's baby on a plane, I feel you. I know your pain. And yours is my favorite baby because I don't have to deal with it. And today, earlier we were talking about favorites or the complete lack of favorites.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? My number one favorite baby today is my daughter. I'm just going to give her that.
Interesting. Even though you shit on her for the first 20 minutes of
I'm
the
making
show.
up for it. I know how to negotiate.
Okay.
What about you, David?
All right. My top 3 babies are, and number 3, the way Britney Spears sings the word baby.
Dude,
was that on your list? Was
yeah, I actually thought to myself, I don't know which song that I would do, but that was, that was going to be one of mine too. You know what? Honorable mention for Amy Grant. Baby, baby. Emotion.
Yeah. But there's something about the way Britney crunches and modifies those vowels into like totally incoherent. Yes. Bye bye. All right.
Totally.
Number 2, baby back ribs. Oh, so delicious. And number 1, I think it's obvious, the baby Jesus. Those are my top 3 babies. Okay. Next week, why don't we do the top 3 90s sitcoms?
Okay, I'm here for that. My something great this week is my latest song obsession. My entire algorithm on Instagram is now just Raves, Where the Hell Is My Husband? I think that song is so fantastic, and it has been morphed in so many ways with so many people dancing and changing words and everything. My something great is just Ray and Where the Hell Is My Husband? Plain and simple. Right. What about you?
Love that. So my something great is, my kids, we all brush our teeth, we get into one bed, and then we read books, and we'll read 2 books. Each kid gets to choose a book. And the other day, my daughter chose one of those old anthology of Dr. Seuss, where we hadn't read it in a while. And she was like, I want to do this one. And it was Yertle the Turtle, which I thought I remembered, but we read through it, and it was just so great because it is very much a metaphor for the political times we're living in right now. And it felt so satisfying to read. And I remember as I was finishing it up going, I want to read this on Gaytriarchs. I don't know why, but it just feels like a good time to have this story. And I'm not going to spoil it, but you will see the parallels between our current situation we're in and Yertle the Turtle. And it's a cute book, and it's kind of fun to read. So I'm going to read Yertle the Turtle after the play out of this podcast, for those of you who can't read. And that is my something great, is my dulcet tones. And that is our show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, you can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at David F. M. Vaughn everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge in the Scouts.
Por favor, leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll bore the hell out of you next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.
Yertle the Turtle by Dr. Seuss. On the faraway island of Salamasand, Yertle the Turtle was king of the pond. A nice little pond. It was clean. It was neat. The water was warm. There was plenty to eat. The turtles had everything turtles might need. And they were all happy. Quite happy indeed. They were until Yertle, the king of them all, decided the kingdom he ruled was too small. I'm ruler, said Yertle, of all that I see. But I don't see enough. That's the trouble with me. With this stone for a throne, I look down on my pond, but I could not look down on the places beyond. This throne that I sit on is too low down. It ought to be higher, he said with a frown. If I could sit high, how much greater I'd be. What a king! I'd be ruler of all I could see. So Yertle the Turtle King lifted his hand, and Yertle the Turtle King gave a command. He ordered 9 turtles to swim to his stone, and using these turtles, he built a new throne. He made each turtle stand on another one's back, and he piled them all up in a 9-turtle stack. And then Yertle climbed up. He sat down on the pile. What a wonderful view. He could see most a mile. All mine, Yertle cried. Oh, the things I now rule. I'm king of a cow, and I'm king of a mule. I'm king of a house, and what's more beyond that, I'm king of a blueberry bush and a cat. I'm Yertle the Turtle, oh marvelous me, for I am the ruler of all that I see. And all through that morning he sat up there high, saying over and over, a great king am I. Until long about noon, then he heard a faint sigh. What's that? Snapped the king. And he looked down the stack. And he saw, at the bottom, a turtle named Mac. Just a part of his throne, and this plain little turtle looked up and he said, Beg your pardon, King Yertle? I've pains in my back and my shoulders and knees. How long must we stand here, your majesty, please? Silence, the king of the turtles barked back. I'm king, and you're only a turtle named Mac. You stay in your place while I sit here and rule. I'm king of a cow, and I'm king of a mule. I'm king of a house and a bush and a cat. But that isn't all. I'll do better than that. My throne shall be higher, his royal voice thundered. So pile up more turtles. I want 'bout 200. Turtles, more turtles, he bellowed and brayed. And the turtles way down in the pond were afraid. They trembled, they shook, but they came, they obeyed. From all over the pond they came swimming by dozens. Whole families of turtles with uncles and cousins. All of them stepped on the head of poor Mac. One after another, they climbed up the stack. Then, Yertle the Turtle was perched up so high, he could see 40 miles from his throne in the sky. Hooray, shouted Yertle, I'm king of the trees, I'm king of the birds, and I'm king of the bees. I'm king of the butterflies, king of the air. Ah, me, what a throne, what a wonderful chair. I'm Yertle the Turtle, oh marvelous me, for I am the ruler of all that I see. Then again, from below, in the great heavy stack, came a groan from that plain little turtle named Mac. Your Majesty, please, I don't like to complain, but down here below we are feeling great pain. I know up on top you are seeing great sights, but down on the bottom we too should have rights. We turtles can't stand it. Our shells will all crack. Besides, we need food. We are starving, groaned Mac. You hush up your mouth, howled the mighty King Yertle. You've no right to talk to the world's highest turtle. I rule from the clouds, over land, over sea. There's nothing, no nothing that's higher than me. But while he was shouting, he saw with surprise that the moon of the evening was starting to rise. Up over his head in the darkening skies. What's that? Snorted Yertle. Say, what is that thing that dares to be higher than Yertle the King? I shall not allow it. I'll go higher still. I'll build my throne higher. I can and I will. I'll call some more turtles. I'll stack 'em to heaven. I need about 5,607. But as Yertle the Turtle King lifted his hand and started to order and give the command, that plain little turtle below in the stack, that plain little turtle whose name was just Mac, decided he'd taken enough. And he had. And that plain little lad got a little bit mad. And that plain little Mac did a plain little thing. He burped, and his burp shook the throne of the king. And Yertle the Turtle, the king of the trees, the king of the air and the birds and the bees, the king of a house and a cow and a mule, well, that was the end of the Turtle King's rule. For Yertle, the king of all Salamasand, fell off his high throne and fell plunk in the pond. And today, the great Yertle, that marvelous he, is king of the mud. That is all he can see. And the turtles, of course, all the turtles are free, as turtles and maybe all creatures should be.